And this is going to be magical, and I mean that in a literal sense, because our guest today is not only a brilliant artist, but he's also a brilliant entertainer. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But Ken Salaz, what are you going to do today?
Today, I'm going to teach to a point how to paint a sky on fire.
What do you mean, the sky on fire?
Well, the sky on fire, you know, there's times in the day where the clouds, during the sunset and at dusk where the clouds and the light is changing so drastically, it's hard to capture, and everything seems to illuminate like it just got caught on fire. And so many times people want to catch it, but it goes by so fast. But there are certain techniques that I'll be talking about on how to lock it in really quickly.
Oh, you know, I think that's so important because, you know, what happens is I'll pull up my phone and I'll take a picture of it, and the color is always never as brilliant. You know, it's just doesn't look right. And when I try to paint the sunset, it disappears because it goes down so quickly. And so I'd really like to understand this a little bit more. And the other thing that I think is curious is sometimes when I paint the sunset, I make my colors too garish and they don't look right.
Right.
So you're gonna help us understand all of these little components, all these aspects. Is that right?
Absolutely. And, everything from what values to approach, what like color chromatic to approach, and what color schemes to do it. So you can go straight from the palette straight onto the canvas.
So quickly. Those are big words. And for those people who don't understand those big words, I'm here as your translator. So let's get this show started.
Okay. It's Art School Live with Eric Rose.
Yesterday, we celebrated 5 years of Art School Live, being here every weekday for 5 years. Actually, the first 7 months we were here every day, 7 days a week. We started this with COVID. We've continued it on. We're going to keep doing it. We don't know how long, but we'll keep doing it as long as we feel like it, and as long as you guys support it. So the goal here is to teach you how to paint, to help you understand that anybody can learn this. And my goal is to translate. So if some of these artists use big terms, don't worry about it. I'll make it all understandable. I'll ask the questions that you're going to ask, and you can ask questions in the chat. We'd love for you guys to come into the chat and tell us where you're watching from. Also, let's look at some of Ken's work because it's spectacular. Now, you want to learn how to do fire in the sky like that. Look at that, and the reflected light on the water. Pretty amazing. What else do we have? Ooh la la, that is really beautiful. Oh, look at that. That is spectacular. Wow, that's a tough topic too. This guy is the real deal, and you're going to learn about how to paint really, really classically beautiful paintings. And we're going to learn a little bit more about his magic as well. We had him on stage at the Plein Air convention one year, and he blew everybody in the audience away, including me. We'll talk about that too. So, Ken, welcome to Art School Live. Let's do this.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Eric. I appreciate it.
Camera has gone dark. There's no person there.
Let's see.
Yeah.
It should be showing. Hold tight.
Yep. It's not.
It's not.
Gone. It's disappeared.
Let's see. Hold on. There we go. Okay.
There we go.
Hello.
Okay.
I'm a giant. Let me switch it around so you got the there we go.
Oh.
Sorry about that. No wonder it went dark.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
So what have you done here?
So this is, okay, everyone, you know, when you've been out plein air painting, you get these sunsets started and sometimes you just can't finish them. You know, then they fall off the back of the car and they get scratches and all sorts of fun stuff that happens. I never throw those away. I never throw those away. I just leave them around. And I've got about 15 to 20 of these sitting around my studio. So when I go out and do sunset painting, I bring them with me, because every sunset's different, but there's a similar pattern, you know, from darker at the very top to lighter to dark again at the bottom was this particular sunset. Now, when you see this was the sketch I did that day for the finished painting that you see as my demo image. Do you see that, Eric?
Nope.
Well, maybe they'll throw up the demo image.
Okay, yeah, all right.
Yeah, that right there. You see at the bottom there?
Yep.
This small sketch turned into that. Now, how does that work? How do I go about approaching a sky that these colors are changing so fast, the clouds are moving, and the light itself is changing? So let's talk. I'll talk about 3 things I do, and then I'll show you with the demo.
You've
First
only
thing,
got about what, 3 minutes when the sun's going down?
yeah, 5, about
5
5,
minutes?
really. Yeah, you got. My friend said, Ken, it's like you're painting a speeding bullet. So the first and most important is, and you can translate for everyone out there, Eric, this guy right here, the magic value scale.
Okay, let's
right?
bring up a value scale on the screen so everybody can see what that means. So value scale is darks to lights.
Darks to lights, exactly.
Okay.
And that I keep, I keep out when I go out to the field, I keep that with me because the
Okay.
sunset goes like this. Let's say the sun is in the middle. It goes from the light to the dark. It goes,
so into the sky, light to dark?
yeah, it goes light to dark. Up top, it's darker, and out here, it's lighter.
And does it do the same in the bottom?
You mean right
Well,
here?
does it go when it's going down towards the horizon? Does it go light to dark?
It goes light. Yeah, it goes from the dark up top down to a lighter value down here.
Yeah, and then does it get darker as it goes further down?
It gets darker down here.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it does. Well, that's what's interesting, Eric, is that keeps changing, depending on the cloud conditions. So that's the first aspect, and we'll talk more about the values as I paint. The second is the palette, and I'm going to take this off, Eric. I hope it's okay just to flash my palette. Okay.
Yep.
Here's the palette. The second thing is the pre-mixed palette. So you see my value of blue from light to dark?
Yeah.
So that's on my palette out there when I'm plein air painting. So I don't have to mix anything. That's already set.
Now, do you do strings of that with every color?
Yeah. And then I got my yellow to a darker yellow, my mid-range yellow. And then I got my clouds, which we'll get to. The clouds, see the values here, the different change in values. And then I got my salmon pink, which is the last one where is that? Right there.
Is that actually a color, salmon pink?
No, it's actually 𝗏𝗫 yellow light mixed with the 𝗙𝗶𝗶 red,
Okay.
or cadmium red, whatever your preference is.
All right.
So that's the other thing. Sorry about the shaky here. There we go.
That's all right.
So there's three things. One, I usually have a board that's somewhat set like this. Okay. Second one is the values, and the third one is getting the colors straight. All right. So let me dive into this. When we dive in here, Eric, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
All right.
We hear you fine.
Wonderful.
I'll just mention that Ken is going to be on the faculty of the Plein Air Convention this year. That's exciting.
Yeah. I'm excited to be there. I mean, Lake Tahoe, I mean, my gosh, what an experience that's going to be.
Yeah.
So I set up right away. You see, I get that high height right away.
Why didn't you put it dead center?
Why didn't I?
Yeah.
Because compositionally, that'll just lull the spectators to sleep.
That's why I asked the question.
Yeah, no, people, they expect it in the center, and everyone likes a good mystery movie where things change. You don't expect it, so you got to get it out of the obvious, and you want to paint out of the obvious. So now I'm moving towards the lighter end of that color stream, the light yellow, which is this right here is just basically the 𝗏𝗫 yellow light mixed with some white, and I'm just getting some value down like that.
Okay, so the first brush stroke you laid down was a brighter yellow and white, right?
That one, yeah, that was the 𝗏𝗫 yellow mixed with white.
Okay.
So it wasn't
And
pure
so
white.
you're basically creating a gradation of yellows at this point.
Yeah.
And it looks like they're getting a little orangier as you go.
Exactly. So it's this value scale, which is interesting. It's this value scale right here in reverse, but it includes color,
Yeah. Okay.
There.
All right.
It's going from light to dark, light to dark.
Okay.
So I set that up just like that and let it be. Now below here is an important point also to give the sense of light streaming out. So I'll do, just this at the beginning. just to register in my mind that light's flowing out of there.
That's kind of like one of those 60s posters.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And if you have, what is those black lights, it looks really great.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to go from that yellow, this yellow here, and I'm going to start adding a little orange in. And the reason I add orange in, see, this is an orange now, is because as I transition out of the glow area down here, I'm going to be going towards a grayish blue, which is this color right there.
What?
Oh. Yeah. So this color I'm painting on right now, you can hardly see it because it's right over my old one. And let me explain what that color is. That's cerulean blue mixed with red. Mixed with cadmium orange or whatever orange of your preference. And it gets this gray color. You see how gray it is there?
It almost looks a little greenish to me.
That's why you mix in the orange. And there I put more orange in, because I try not to let that get too green. It just, you don't often see too much green in the sky, you know? So if I put the orange in, I mix the orange back in, it neutralizes it, because blue and
Big
orange.
word. What does neutralize mean?
Neutralize means taking well, in this case, it's taking the major chroma out of the color. So you take
what does the major chroma mean?
The major chroma of blue would be blue, right? Or ultramarine blue, let's say. That's the major chroma of that color. If you add in the opposite, which is orange, cadmium orange, you're neutralizing the chromatic.
So let's pull up a color wheel.
Yeah, pull that.
Sorry to put you through this, Ken, but I
Yeah.
have to explain this for some of my audience. So if you were painting an orange, you look at the orange on the color wheel, there is an opposite color of blue there.
Mhm.
If you're painting red, the opposite color is green.
Right.
So if you put a touch of the opposite color into the main color, it'll gray it down so it doesn't look so garish.
Exactly. Right. You got it. And here I am now. This is pure up here. I've gotten to pure
Cerulean?
Cerulean. Yeah, thank you. I've gotten to pure cerulean. Sorry, your brain stops working when you paint sometimes,
Yeah,
at least
mine never has worked under any circumstances.
Oh gosh. So I'll just finish that's too yellows, too much yellow in there. It's okay
So
if
Karen Schumacher says in the comments, I remember a time when all the vocabulary made no sense, and then after so many artists explained it in slightly different ways, it begins to make sense. That's why we do translation, folks, because we want to make sure you don't get overwhelmed by terms.
Yeah. There's, I was taught by chroma, which is the intensity of the color, right? But it's also, I think there's other words for it as well that I'm not. So you see how I'm slightly gradating the blue out, just like the value scale. I'm now doing the blue in that way. Okay.
So you're going from dark to light. I mean, light to dark.
Light to dark, right. So if you follow this rule of thumb, I guess, of light to dark from the sunset, you'll get a glow started, which is what I've got going right now. Okay. I'm getting the blue in because it sets the stage. Now, this is something very important I want to say, that if you stick around another, 15, 20, 30 minutes, you'll see it pay off. And this is this. You want to go, this is like setting the table for dinner. You put the table down, which is the major colors. Then you put the tablecloth, which is what I'm doing now, some tablecloth. And then you put the dishes and everything else. You don't start with the meal. I guess if you need me to translate, you start with the big major things that are happening, right? And then you slowly get smaller and more specific. And right now I'm just painting this gradation from this yellow to an orange, to a gray, to a light blue, to a darker blue.
And then will you get pretty dark up there, because doesn't a darker blue make it feel like the sky is coming over you?
Yeah, exactly. So watch, I'll just do this here.
That we can't see the top of your canvas very well.
I want to bring it down then. How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, when you put that darker blue right here, it makes it feel like It's going right overhead. There. How's that look? Can you see?
Yeah, that makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Where we can see it.
So, all right, now, so that's one phase of just gradating the sky like that. Now let's talk about clouds, because they often play a major component in a painting of a sunset. Before I go there, Eric, sometimes I will have panels where I already have this gradated to some degree from dark blue, all dry. It's my underpainting, all dry when I go out. All right. So I don't have to do this when I'm on the field. All right. So now let's talk about the clouds. You see in the demo image, the image down here, these red clouds and the sun behind them. What I do to get that is I use Venetian red mixed. Here's the Venetian red mixed with some white and some orange.
You have to be careful when you're diluting red with white. You can very easily get pink, and that doesn't read like a red.
Exactly. Good point. So that's why I use the a Venetian red mixed with some orange. Somehow doesn't go very pink at all, but pink enough. And you actually set me up for the next stage, Eric, because some clouds in the sunset, they get pink at the top up here. You know, the higher up they go away from the sun, the pinker they get.
Yeah.
So this red that I'm using, the Venetian red, it doesn't really go pink when you add white, but it is a pinkish color in the end. But and it echoes what happens above there later.
All right.
All right, and I'll show you a little sample here.
Okay.
Here we go. I'm going to get out the dagger brush, this guy here, and get the salmon out. Right there.
You're making me hungry.
Yeah. Oh man. So there's the pepperoni down here, the pepperoni color, Eric, and then this is the salmon. But you see that this doesn't look very pink, does it?
No.
But it's really pink. The reason it doesn't read too pink up here is because this is already setting up the tone. So you're going from yellow to reddish to pinkish up top. Okay.
And now what about the values? Because the clouds are going to be lighter values typically.
Yes. So that's why up here, as you said earlier, Eric, you have a darker blue because it makes it go over your head. And when you start putting these salmon or pinkish colored clouds in at the top, you can lighten the value and it really gives a good contrast. Oh, and the other important thing about color, talking about color, the more white you add to any color, the lower the chroma. What does that mean? Chroma is the intensity of the color, like pure intensity. So it's like chocolate milk with a lot of chocolate in it is high chroma. You take the chocolate out, less chroma. That makes sense? Yep. That's how I explain to my boys. Makes sense to me. So if you put white into a color, you lose chroma, you lose its intensity. So often when people try to paint the sky and get that intense color, they usually paint, they try to add white to lighten the color, and then it loses the intensity, and you go back and forth, right?
Yep.
Yep. So there's a trick to avoiding that. I'll tell you what that is in a minute.
All right. I have found a color called Persian rose, which is this really, really spectacular pink that just really works well in skies.
Persian rose.
It's got a nice saturation. It doesn't feel like it's diluted like most pinks feel.
Wow. I'm going to have to check that out because, you know, keeping the colors intense or chromatic in a sunset is hard. It usually fades out. I'm adding red down here. Persian rose.
It's a Williamsburg color.
Oh, I love them. All right, here we go. So here, I'm just setting the table, as I had said earlier. And as I get closer to this guy, I'm going to put an orange right there. Okay. And then I'm going to go from the orange darker. Again, it's funny, Eric, you just end up going back to the value scale all over again, each area of the painting.
It's almost like you're painting a ball.
Yeah. Yeah. There we go. All right, so you see this is the setup. There. Pretty quick, There we go. All right. Now, what I also do at this stage, you can, to give this some life to it, because that edge looks pretty, I know I'm embarrassing myself with this edge. It looks terrible. It just looks like a cigar there. So you take a soft brush like this that's got fuzzy edges, and you just dab it along the edge. And it's a dry brush. It's a clean, dry brush. That way it doesn't run on you. And you just lighten up that edge a little bit. All right. After you lighten
Isn't
it.
that called rim lighting?
Yeah. 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 It lets the eye flow. Because the whole idea of this, the sky getting on fire, the eye wants to flow from here outward, radiate, right?
Yeah.
So with the values, you're causing the eye to radiate outwards. And then with the edges, if the edges are all hard all over the place, they can't move that way either. So by softening it, you're able to let the eye radiate outwards also. And what I wanted to do up there, I'll show you here right now. As you go back in now, in some areas you add where the clouds are flying off. They fly off with the wind and stuff. There we go.
Yes, I'm not only the host, but the sound effects guy.
That's right. I'm painting the Old West here. There we go. You see that? Look at that. That's so much fun. It is just such a blast, Eric, painting. And then, some areas come to life a little.
Yeah.
So you see how that's starting to break up the cloud on top and give it some life?
Yeah.
There we go. All right. Now, going to go back in, put my my dot back in here, give it the light, and second pass here. Going to do a second pass of this yellow. There. What's the time? What do we have? What do we have here?
Oh, we got plenty of time.
Great. Good. All right, here we go. Now the dagger brush is great because you get to really do stuff like this. Watch this. It's got that fine pointed edge, so you can get in there.
Why don't you show the shape to the camera? Show the shape of the dagger brush because they don't know what that means. Yeah. Okay. So
yeah, it's like a pointed.
Right.
It's
a lot of different companies make those.
There you go. You can get in here and do this and get a nice line, and it holds a lot of paint on it. It's kind of different than a round, which I use also at different points, but the dagger holds a little more.
That's my favorite brush for doing pine trees.
The round or the dagger?
The dagger.
Oh.
Actually, they make one called a sword, which is a longer version of a dagger.
Oh.
And they're great for pine tree branches. But there are no pine trees next to the ocean in this particular case.
That's true.
Unless it were Maine. If it were Maine, it would be.
Then you'd be in business. Yeah. Then you'd be in business. All right, let me get this here. Oh, that looked good. I love that. I'm going to get this purple out of here and get it more yellow in here. So if there's any questions anybody has out there, just throw them out.
I'll do that. I'll throw them out.
Okay. And here we go. Get that transition in again. Strengthen it up. This is that grayish color again. By the way. All right. Now, to really help it give it a punch, I'm going to go in a radical different direction. which is in the painting, but this isn't glowing yet because it doesn't have this. Doesn't have this nice dark somewhere on the canvas, you know, to really expand the value scale like this.
In other words, what you're saying by expanding the value scale, you're saying if you have a dark next to a lighter value, it'll make it look lighter.
Yes, exactly. So before I was painting within these 5 or 6, this range here, right? Now I'm opening it up to all the way to the bottom of the range. So I got a full value scale. And if you put this dark, from what you said, Eric, you put this dark next to the light, it makes that look lighter.
Yeah.
You know, so putting this bottom in helps with the glow. Here we are. And does it make sense why it's this setup here helps to get like the sky to feel like it's on fire, Eric?
It does.
Yeah. Because now we got, and I usually do this midway through because I want to see how much kind of glow and radiance I can get before the large mass goes in of dark. And if I can get it started here, feeling right, then when I put this in, it really feels like it's going to pop. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, I'm curious about when you start putting the reflections in the water, but we're going to take a break first, and then we'll get to that. All right.
Sounds good.
All right. We have a fabulous guest today, Ken Salaz, and I probably am saying it wrong, Ken. I apologize. He's got an incredible video out with us. I should just mention, pull it up here. It's called Majestic Landscapes. He goes into creating a full landscape, including the sky and the whole thing. And this is available instantly on streaming or, of course, on physical media as well. So just go to 𝗞𝗶𝗶.tv and look up Ken's name or Majestic Landscapes. Okay. Ken is also going to be at the Plein Air Convention. We're really excited about the convention. Let's play this right now. Well, howdy, partner. Reckon you're wondering what a cowboy like me is doing talking about painting. Truth is, I ain't just here to wrangle cattle. I'm here to wrangle painters. This here's Virginia City, one of the paint out locations at this year's Plein Air Convention and Expo. And let me tell you something, it's got more character than a saloon at midnight. More textures than a tumbleweed in a windstorm. And more inspiration than a cowboy at the end of a Clint Eastwood trilogy. You'll be stepping into the Wild West with your easel in one hand and your paintbrush like a 6-shooter in the other. You want a backdrop for killer painting? You'll be painting right in the middle of an old Western town. Historic buildings, wooden storefronts, a real deal steam train, and more cowboy charm than a John Wayne double feature. But seriously, this is a once-in-a-lifetime chance to paint a scene straight out of the past with a modern twist. You, your brush, and the best plein air painters in the world right beside you. Now, I ain't just hollering about Virginia City for the scenery. Here's why I think y'all should saddle up with us for the whole Plein Air Convention and Expo. You're getting world-class instruction from 75 or 80 of the top artists teaching you their best-kept secrets on oil, watercolor, pastel, wash, acrylic, you name it. And you won't just watch, you'll paint right alongside the pros, out in the field, on location, boot deep in inspiration. And let's not forget about all the artists you'll meet, folks who speak your language, share your passion, and become your art posse for life. Whether you're just starting out or looking to level up, you'll walk away with new techniques, new confidence, and a fresh fire in your belly. And remember, you'll also have access to our Art Expo, a whole marketplace of art supplies, demos, and expert advice. You'll find stuff that actually works. No more wasting money on snake oil. Bottom line, you'll come back from this convention a different kind of artist, more fired up, more skilled, more connected. And you'll have the kind of memories you don't just paint, you'll have the kind of memories you treasure. So what do you say? Dust off those boots, grab your brushes, and meet me in Reno and Lake Tahoe this May for the Plein Air Convention and Expo. And to make things a little bit more exciting, we're going to paint Virginia City in our finest Western duds. That's right. That's right. That's right. We're going to be, when we paint Virginia City, we're all dressing up in our Western gear. We also have a closing party where we're going to all dress up as gangsters. That'll be fun. And we have a lot of fun at the Plein Air Convention. We hope you'll come. Okay, Ken, you're coming.
I'll be there. I can't wait to get there, man. I'm
You're going to have to bring your cowboy hat.
I know. I gotta go get some. I gotta go buy one. A new one. New one. Oh man, that looked like, I love that. That was great. That was my favorite one. Oh man. So I'm just gonna fill in here a little bit, the darker blue, so you can, you know, when I get to, ooh, that's too dark. Woo, woo, boy. All right. There. All right. There we are. All right. So this is a good, I think this is really laid out well right now. You know, this is got my major shapes in there, got my major color and values in each of the areas, you know, and I couldn't be happier with how the progress is going on this one at this point. Now I'm going to get into some smaller details that everyone gets excited about, which is how the light here is going to play against everything above it, right? There we go. So here we go. Let me get, but before I do, I do want to add in some more of these clouds over here to have fun with them, you know. And this is, again, the dagger brush, Eric. It can just do so much for you, you know. Look at this. It just makes it look like you spent, you know, 50 minutes on these little tiny cloud details, but it just lays it in, and, you know, there you go. It looks like already detailed but suggestive at the same time. Give me 1 second. Over here. Can I speak a little bit about composition for a second?
I wish you would.
Because composition, you know, it uses all the elements of a painting, from color to value to objects to shapes to edges. It uses everything in the composition to create a center of interest, which is here. And the second thing a composition will do, it creates movement. Now, it can create fast movement or slow movement of the eye. Some paintings, the movement through the painting is very slow, and it's the way the composition's set up.
How do you create slow versus fast?
You know, I mean, there's one artist that's really good with that. Give me 1 second. His name just escapes me. Hold on.
That happens to me.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, here, or better yet, maybe I'll just find an example. I'll get back to that. Can I get back to that?
Yeah,
there's one guy that does it so well.
Sorry to throw you off your game.
Not a problem. Not a problem. But to go to the faster movement, when you're doing skies, what creates faster movement is diagonals, right? Diagonals and these choppy clouds cause your eye to move because they can't quite fixate on it. And so it goes from all these little details, right, into a solid mass, into the center of interest. So it's like over here, the stutter steps to get the eye running into a dead end, right? And then you kind of locked in here. So that's going kind of from fast to like slow here.
Ooh.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna think of the name of that artist before I get off here. Okay. You'll know who I'm talking about when I get
That's
to
all right.
it.
If you don't, we'll post it later.
Yeah. So the slower compositions, meaning the eye moves slower, are usually our larger solid shapes, and the less diagonals, more verticals, and horizontals. So fewer shapes and vertical and horizontal slows the eye down. When you get diagonals and movement from multiple shapes or scattered shapes into a solid, then you get faster, like a faster composition. And faster meaning the eye moving fast, right? Hope that was nice and clear.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, let's see here. Can I show you another sample?
Of course.
This is like another sketch I did out west in Arizona. And so here, this was a,
Oh man, that's killer.
I'm glad you like it. This one, the reason I'm bringing it in is that, well, the sky's on fire again. You see the yellow, the light, and then the dark red to the orangish red.
But you even gradiated the highlights on those clouds.
Exactly. Exactly. So this is a lighter highlight to darker highlights. Yeah. And this was a funny composition because, this one's got all this movement, but it's got a boom, solid shapes that make it static. So it's like a mixed message, So that's an example of a sky on fire. Now let's get to what you just said, Eric, about the highlights on the clouds, okay?
Yep.
Because they really sell, I feel that part of the painting really sells the idea that the light is radiating out of the center here. And in order to do that, I do have to expand this a little bit more. I need more real estate up here. There we go. To really make it work.
So you're going darker, a little bit darker still, right?
Yeah, I am. Unfortunately, it's mixing with the blue, but I'll just put a thicker. There we go. Yeah, it's getting darker up here. Rule of thumb, it gets darker up at the top. It gets darker down here, but with the red, see it's darker here. Oops.
Now, Ken, some artists say that you want to try and have all of your opposite corners to be dark and light, dark and light. Do you do that?
Not on every painting, no. Not on every painting. On some of them, that's a great description though of how to make a composition balanced. So it's going like
because
this, right?
your corner in the upper right is light, your corner in the upper left is darker, your corner in the lower is dark, but so is your corner in the your other corner. Both of the bottom are dark, but you do have variation in the sky.
Yeah. Well, that's what I got. You pointed out like that, Eric. It looks pretty obvious, doesn't it? It wasn't my intention initially.
Oh, come on. I know you intended to. You can lie about it. That's okay. Yeah, you figured me out, man.
Oh, man. All right. So here we go. Again, I'm going to the gradated part of the, again, with this dagger brush.
Okay, I want you guys to pay close attention to what he's doing. He's not dragging that brush. He's stamping the brush like a rubber stamp.
Yep. That's allowing that.
That's something 𝗄𝗶𝗿𝗲 taught me I never knew existed before, and it makes a huge difference in making the paint stick.
Yeah. Yeah, when you drag it, you end up mixing everything together, right? And it gets all muddy and
just for grins, why don't you drag it and show everybody what the difference would be? Yeah.
It becomes this.
Yeah.
Which is what if you want something to look like it's punching through it. I just changed the value of this. Now this next layer is a different value. It's a darker value. As I'm getting away from the sun down here, these things are getting darker. And they're going to start getting larger. And they're going to start getting further spaced apart. And the reason for that is perspective. So as things get closer to you, they get further apart between them, like a stairs, you know. And so as they get closer to me, as if they're coming up over my head, I'm spacing the distance out between them more. And I'm making them slightly
There's
darker.
so many little things to think about.
Yeah. Yeah. So that makes
It's amazing how that big mass just came alive when you added all that texture in there, that the highlights of the clouds.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
I'm very anxious to go out and paint a sunset.
Well, let's set up next to each other. Oops, that was a boo-boo.
Yeah, well, okay.
We'll set up
I
next to
might
each
do
other.
that before I see you at the Plein Air convention.
All right.
But yes, that would be fun. I'd love to spend time with you. You're one of my favorite people.
Oh, thank you. Likewise, Eric. Likewise.
And I should tell you guys that Ken makes part of his living as a, what would you call it, a mentalist?
Yeah, mentalist and magicians.
So
yeah.
he goes on stage and he's we can't mention names, but he's just done some things for some very famous people. And I don't know, maybe you can mention names. That's up to you. But
if it's all right with you, I mean, I could.
You've been on some, yeah, and sure, and you've also been on some pretty big time TV shows.
Yeah, I was on Late Night with 𝗙𝗶𝗿. Stole the watch there.
Yeah, what's really interesting is you took my watch off of me without me even knowing it.
You better keep your eye on your paint tubes next time, Eric. I'm gonna get that the reds.
Yeah, you're gonna get my Persian rose.
Let me get you Persian rose. That's exactly right. I'm going after it now that I know.
Right.
One time I was painting with some buddies, and we were out there, and I secretly switched their yellow ochre for peanut butter.
Oh no!
So they went they dipped their paintbrush in the peanut butter and put it on the canvas. Yeah, it was a cruel joke, but it was worth the laugh.
So here we have 𝗲𝗏 has a question. She says, "Hello from Germany.
Hey.
I have difficulties to recognize the difference between a sunset and a sunrise in paintings. Is there something that you do differently for a sunrise versus a sunset?"
Wow, what a wonderful question! First of all,
very insightful.
Yeah. So I'm focused there. Okay. Yes, that's a great question. You'll notice sunrises, you don't get this kind of reddish pinkish thing going on for whatever reason. They usually are much cool. I mean, my experience, they're much cooler. The cloud banks are usually cooler in color, bluish, more grayish and purplish. Though, and the blue going out of the sky itself is often very similar though. So I think it's more the change of the colors of the clouds. I think also in the morning there's a different humidity in the air, which changes all the colors.
Yeah, I'm sure it depends on localism. I remember I was painting sunrises in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and it was the most brilliant coral color I'd ever seen. And every morning I got up, it had that color, that coral color. It had something to do with the local atmosphere.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, that's something I go into, as you know, in the DVD about the three aspects of the landscape painting and how to approach. There's the light, there's the atmosphere, and then there's the objects. And all landscapes is an interplay between light, atmosphere, and object. So the atmosphere affects the color, the light affects the color, and then how that light shines on objects. Effects.
I also love on the cover of your DVD, you show that how to get that glow. And I think that's something that's interesting. If you have an object in the foreground, a mountain or a tree, you get that glow that changes the color. It kind of almost like carves into it.
Yeah. Oh, right. Oh, right. The edge where they meet the edge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like if there was a tree in this scene right next to that sun, you'd be carving, it wouldn't just have a flat silhouette. You'd be carving into it with the oranges and so on.
Right. Right. I wish I could put a tree there now.
No, well, I don't want to. You don't have time.
So I'm just going to work on the bottom here. So you see how that adding that stepping makes it feel like it's now coming up and over you.
Yeah, and it also creates that sense of perspective. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Let me see if I can put some of this more intense here, because this is I love this part of the sky in the evening. That pinkish salmon colors of the clouds at the top always really excite me, you know. And these also have underbelly like this. These can also get stuff.
Julia Norton Stevens says that I heard you switch warm yellows to cool yellows, but I don't know if that's true. I think she's referring to sunrise paintings.
Oh, no, it's the clouds. I said clouds, not yellows.
Yeah.
You know, I used to paint sunrises in Oregon and Washington State and California. And I noticed that the cloud banks in the morning were often cool colors, you know. But look here, we get this, when it's sunset, it's often very warm.
Well, I get up for the sunset every morning here, and over
You get up with the
ocean-
sunset?
I mean the sunrise.
Yeah, you're the man. You're a man of
I wake up
many
for the
talents.
sunset. We just get a lot of brilliant oranges, but a lot of purples.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hello, Norway. Sitting outside in the sunset while you're painting. That's pretty cool, Brett.
Wow. I love Norway. I went to Mandal, Norway many years ago. Mandal, I think is how you pronounced it. Had some, a lovely man named Steinar and his family invited me to stay with them. And I went and stayed with them there.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
I know. Yeah, Norway.
I am announcing a painting trip, I think today. Finally, I've been working on it for months, and it's a European painting trip. That's all I can say. There are a few people who might know because we did tell a few people, so don't say anything. And we're going to send out a notice to everyone who's been on our trips in the past and a couple other VIP level people and say, okay, you get first dibs, but you've got 24 hours to make up your mind. And then the next day we're releasing it to the general public, and we only have 48 seats. And so it's going to go fast.
Wow.
And it's going to be one of those places everybody goes, oh man, I can't believe you're going to paint there.
Oh, that's great.
Ken has an excellent book out, by the way, called Landscapes in Oil. And that was mentioned by Dennis Marshall in the comments.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's a real good compliment to the DVD, because the DVD, you get to actually see it live, you know, actually see me paint and talk and work through it.
By the way, we do streaming too.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Majority of people now buy streaming.
That's right, I forget.
About 30% still buy DVD.
Okay. Oh, one thing that was interesting about Norway and painting there, Eric, is, you know, in the summer, the light changes quickly in the afternoon, right? In the evening, because the sun's going down. But when you're up that north, what usually lasts only 5 minutes, lasts 25 up there.
Oh, wow. So you really get some time to do a sunset.
Oh, yeah, it's really crazy. I was so shocked when it happened. I was like, wait a minute, this is going slower than I thought, you know? So here we go. Is there an area, Eric, you want me to work on right now?
No, I want you to do what you want to do.
Okay. Yeah, I'm having a blast. It's so much fun. I'm really excited about being out there at Lake Tahoe because of the colors, the sky and the water there. Oh my gosh.
Oh, the watercolors I was out there checking it out. I've flown out 2 different times now for preparation. And the color, it's like the Bahamas. The water, it's like got this light colored sand, and so the water is like the Bahamas. It's like this bathwater turquoise. It's so beautiful. I don't know why anybody wouldn't come.
Well, as you know, as soon as I saw it, I emailed you. I was like, I'm there. I want to go. Let me go. I want to be there. I want to be there. You know?
Tina says the sun doesn't even set up north in the summer in Norway.
Oh, wow. Well, it did. You're right. It did in Mandal, which is at the bottom part of that, of the landmass.
What do they call that? White nights.
Yeah, yeah. She's right. It got like darkish, but it didn't get dark. And the mornings are beautiful because you know that beautiful light, Eric, between 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock and 9:30, that kind of is fleeting. It just stays for 2 hours. That beautiful light. So, yeah, no, it was great.
Okay, I'm going to give you a 5-minute warning.
Okay, that's 5 minutes left. All right. Any requests, any area of this painting for me to work on, I'll jump on it. But I'm just going to.
Yeah, let's put a little reflection in the water.
Great. Okay, water reflection time. Now, this whole time, if people might be surprised to know, I've used no mediums. There's been no mediums at all.
Straight out of the paint tube.
Straight out of the
Paint-
tube.
paint.
Yeah, I tried to replicate as much as I could as if I was doing it out, in the field where I'm not mixing a bunch of mediums. So this is why I'm gonna break out the palette knife. Here we go. Unfortunately, the colors that I used here in the sky, I can now put on the edge of my palette knife, and I just get the edge. Let me get it here. Here we go. There's the edge. I got the paint around the edge, and again, we're going to dap, like you said, and it's the same. It's reverse perspective at the far end.
Now, why would you use a palette knife there instead of a dagger?
Because the dagger, the water that it's reflecting off of is in constant motion, right? Water doesn't stay still. And if you try to do it with the brush, you end up getting something that's too regular patterned. As much as you try, as hard as you try to make it look irregular, it comes out pretty regular. So when you start using a palette knife, you really can't control exactly how many dots go where in the back, As I get to the front, I will start using a dagger. But on the back, I just like to tap it in here. Give me a second. I might need to use this guy. I'm going to switch it to this guy. And he's a little easier to do this with.
Yeah, because you can kind of rubber stamp go in and.
Yeah. Get more on this palette knife here. Here we go. Yep, a little big there. See, even when I'm trying to do it with the palette knife, you see how it still comes out pretty
Kind of
patterned?
thick.
Yeah, and patterned.
Yeah.
So when I see a pattern, I try to break it somehow.
Hello, India.
All right.
What are the sunsets like in India?
That's a painting trip, Eric.
Oh, yeah. Let's do it. I'm going to China for 3 weeks in June.
Nice.
To paint.
What part?
I'm speaking at 5 universities, attending 3 plein air events,
Wow.
and painting.
Wow. That sounds spectacular.
I guess I'm going to learn to like Chinese food.
That's right. Or lose a lot of weight,
I'll be eating monkey brains and not even know it, right?
As long as they're cooked up, good sauce, a little bit of rice, I think you'll be fine.
Yeah.
So this is how I get the water
Oh,
going.
wow.
Yes. It's pretty.
So I like the fact that it's kind of thicker in that one spot. It just it feels like, well, there's a bigger wave there.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't plan it, This stuff waters is so fascinating. No wonder Da Vinci loved to draw it and paint it so much, or draw it so much, because it's such a mystery how it moves and how light reflects and goes through it at the same time.
So 𝗞𝗶𝗁𝗄 says, curious the way you're using your brush right now. Is it called glazing? But it's not really glazing, is it?
Well, I wasn't using a brush just yet. That was still the palette knife. I'm going to go.
I think it might have been an older question.
Oh.
But really glazing would be using putting some medium on it, a thin wash after it's dry to, for instance, you wanted to make the sky color change or something like that.
Right. See, I just made the mistake there. Yeah, the glazing is, it goes over an already finished area. You know, you just change the mass of an area. I go with the brush here now to.
Very nice.
Yeah, to imagine that right at the top here, the water is really getting hit, right? Like right there.
So you went a little lighter there.
I did. I went a little light. I want to do a little pizzazz here.
Yeah. We're going to need to wrap this up here pretty
All right.
quickly, but that's really spectacular. You guys, if you're loving this, make sure you give him a thumbs
There
up
we
or heart or something.
And that's I can stop here, Eric, if you'd like, or
Yeah, come on camera so the people who came in late can see you.
All
And in the meantime, I'm going to talk about a free gift that we have for you guys. If you're tuning in for the first time, never been here, we have a free gift called 201 Essential Plein Air Tips. Just go to pleinairmagazine.com/ebook. All right. That's yours for the taking. And if you have not subscribed yet, be one of the cool kids. Go to YouTube, look up Art School Live, hit the subscribe button, and there's a little bell that notifies you when we go live, or wherever you're watching, follow me. That would be really terrific. Thank you for that. And what else do I have? Well, I've got Ken back. Ken, are you there?
I'm here. I'm outside now.
Oh, you're outside. Wow, that was a very quick transition. Thank you so much for doing this today. You're a rock star, and I really appreciate you doing it.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It's always a pleasure being with you and speaking with you.
All right, you did a great job today. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I'll see you in Tahoe.
Okay, see you in Tahoe. I want to tell you guys about something that's going on Friday. You need to know this. Let's bring up that slide. We have an event on Art School Live on Friday that is a little different than a normal Art School Live, and it is basically about scratching the plein air itch. What I wanted to do is it's not showing for some reason. People have wanted to want information about how do I become a plein air painter? What's the plein air lifestyle like? How do I pack? How do I get ready? What do I carry? So I'm going to kind of just do an overview of plein air painting. I'm not going to demo. I'm just going to talk about it. I'm going to have a guest on. Carrie Curran is going to help me with that. She teaches the plein air basics course at the Plein Air Convention. We're going to just talk about that. Even if you're not a beginner or if you've never done it, it's a good thing as a refresher because you'll learn some things. So that's going to be Friday. And please make sure that you come in. There it is. Come in on Friday, scratching the plein air itch. That's Friday on this program. Normally we would be doing Feedback Friday, but we're not this Friday. Okay. And who knows, we might even have some cool things for you that we're not talking about yet. Keep an eye out on your emails because we're going to announce the new trip. It's going to be spectacular. It's a painting trip. And if you want to go along, it's basically, I host it. We're going to keep it to 48 people plus me, plus the tour operator. And as a result, you're going to have an opportunity. We're going to paint throughout this incredible place that I can't mention. And we're going to paint it together. We're legendary for our trips. I don't mean that to be braggy. It's just that, we do painting and touring together. Last year at this time, we were in Japan doing the cherry blossoms. So it's going to be another good one. We've done Africa, we've done Cuba twice, done New Zealand twice, Japan, and now this place that we're going to go. So keep an eye out for that. Thank you for tuning in. Reminder that we're here every weekday at 12 noon and have been for 5 years. And we would like to continue this if you guys continue to support. And when you guys hit the like or you comment or you share it with other people, it really helps. It really helps. We've reached over, oh man, I don't know, 17 million people or some such thing now. It's crazy. Anyway, thank you again, and we'll see you tomorrow.